if you don't like that song, I don't know what's wrong with you. Anyway, what's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I'm going to drink 2 beers. And during those 2 beers, I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to talk dogs. We're going to do what it do. So if you are watching us for the first time, again, we are out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, but we service the entire United States. We've had dogs come from everywhere across the United States to come train with us. We are a behavior modification dog training facility, first and foremost behavior modification. But I have worked with anywhere from obedience to Schutzhund to police dogs to bomb detection dogs. All those things I've worked with. And so, but my passion lies in behavior modification. So we are back. We haven't been here in a while. I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving. We went down to Atlanta. Me and my wife went down to Atlanta to visit my family in Atlanta. It was crazy. It was a party. But now we're back and we are here to answer any and all questions that you may have with your dog. All right. So I will go through the questions. And once I'm out of the questions, I will talk about the subject of the in the title, and by the time I'm done with that second beer, show's over. All right, so let's get started. Okay, let me go to the pages. All right, here we go. All right, what tools do you use to stop your dog to not counter surf? Well, you have to catch your dog in the act when it comes to counter surfing, but I would say choose that pet convincer. I think that would be a very valuable tool. Try with that. Start that pet convincer with counter surfing. Secondly, if the pet convincer doesn't work, then you can go to having your dog on leash in the house and then correcting your dog with a leash correction when the dog decides to get on the counter. All right. Hey, anybody just joining, you guys definitely should watch from the beginning because it was an awesome intro with an awesome song. And if you don't like that song, something's wrong with you. Anyway. All right. So yeah, pet convincer will work. Leash will work. You can even roll up a newspaper. I don't care if you roll up a newspaper and tap your dog with it and say, no, I don't care about that. That's old school, but who cares? It's not going to hurt the dog and it will get your message across. Okay, counter surfing. You can also put like pennies in a can, put it up on the counter so the dog hits the cans when it decides to jump up and it makes a loud noise and the dog may, freak out. So, yeah, that's it. That's how I would handle counter surfing. You got to watch your dog long enough to teach your dog right from wrong. Okay. All right. Next question. Have you ever used a gentle leader? Yes, I have used a gentle leader. And it works great. Depends on how you use it, but it works. It can be an effective tool. There are trainers that solely use gentle leaders and they do really good work. So gentle leaders do work. I don't prefer them simply because it's not for me. So gentle leaders are good tools. Thank you for your question. Anybody who's just joining, if you want to type in your question, no matter how ridiculous it is or how awesome it is, go ahead and type your question. We'll be here as long as I'm drinking 2 beers. And look at, I only got this and another beer to go. So if you got any questions, don't be shy. Ask the question. All right, man. It's been awesome. We just moved into a new place. Whew, it's been a lot, boy. I got sick last night because just been working around the clock to get stuff ready, get stuff organized, and I also have 3 training dogs that I I definitely have to spend adamant quality time with. So it's been a journey around here. It's been crazy. We're trying to get our detached garage heated. If you haven't seen it, it's in some of the videos, but we're trying to get that heated so we can get some dogs in there, and when clients come over for private lessons, they're not, freezing their butt off. But we're trying to get it before the ground freezes, and the problem is that we're not able to find anybody who can mark the line. We call Digger's Hotline, and they won't mark a private line for liability reasons. So we're calling contractors, but they're saying the same thing. We can't mark the line because it's private, and they don't want to be liable for if I start to dig. I have to dig a gas line from the house to the garage in order to heat it. And if I hit the electrical that's going through there, the contractors or the Digger's Hotline or whoever doesn't want to be liable if I decide to electrocute myself and someone goes after them. So that's the challenge right now. We're trying to heat that garage the best we can, and we want to use gas because my neighbor is a heating and air guy. How fortunate is that? That's awesome that I move in and he's like, hey, I won't even charge you anything. I just, he says he's told me that he's heated everybody's garage around him except his. So that's kind of crazy. But all he says is that because I'm his neighbor, he will do it for free as long as I pay for the parts. How cool is that? Anyway, trying to get that place heated, trying to get everything organized, trying to not live out of a box. It's been a little crazy around here, but it's been great. I feel under-deserving of the place that we have. If you are an ex-client of mine and you want to come stop by, please come stop by. It's awesome. All right. Anyway, back to dog training. Again, anybody watching that has any topic that you want me to talk about or any dog training question, let's get it in. Otherwise, I will talk about the topic that I posted on Facebook. Okay, let's do that then. Let's see. What's this? Someone commented. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I feel undeserving, truly. Lex says, how have you trained service dogs? No. I have not trained service dogs in particular, but I've trained many therapy dogs. I know of people who have trained service dogs. I can train a service dog, but in my opinion, when it comes to opening up your services to training dogs, you get a lot of people who are in bad places who want some service dogs, and it gets difficult. It gets difficult to really distinguish between the people who really want it for their actual disability. It's just a real what word would I best describe it? It's just a real not sketchy, but there's a lot of gray area when it comes to training emotion. I mean, there's people who have totally said, I don't even want to do this anymore, and I feel it is because there's a lot of people who are so emotionally invested in service dogs that if they are disappointed in any way, that it really can come back to haunt the trainer. So that's why I don't necessarily get into that. It's a very noble thing to do for people, and I've considered doing it for vets because my dad and many of my family members are vets. But I would, if you were a previous client of mine and you wanted to train your dog to be a service dog, I would not shy you away. We would work together and we would make it happen. So, but service dogs, in my opinion, as far as liability, not legally but professionally on a business level is a little bit too much for me. And then you go to the protection side of it. Like, I love working bite work. I love doing all that stuff, but there's also a lot of liability when it comes to legality on that side, because you're teaching a dog to bite. You're teaching a dog to attack. And sometimes if that dog does attack and or bite the wrong person or becomes out of control, you are liable. So a lot of liability when it comes to going on that route, which is why my program is only strictly fun bite work. We teach dogs to just play tug of war in a constructive, positive way. Okay, so we don't work in defensive drive, which is a whole other subject, but we can talk about that later. There's a difference than therapy dogs. It's a new thing I'm hearing about, and it seems interesting. Yeah, so there's a big difference. Therapy dogs are restricted to certain areas that allow therapy dogs, right? Service dogs should not be denied access pretty much anywhere. Therapy dogs are there to just do just that, to be therapy to, maybe people who are, elderly or emotionally, or like people who are hospitalized. We used to go in the hospital with my dogs and they just want to be pet, or they just want to have a dog. Also, my dog was used to improve motor function of patients who had lost, I guess, mobility in some sort. So one patient in particular used to throw the ball for my dog because he had lost mobility in his arm. So therapy dogs are there to be therapy, and that's pretty much it. All right, so that's just my opinion. There's a lot more to learn about it and discuss about it, but there is a big difference between therapy dogs and service dogs. But I can tell you from experience that even both service dogs and therapy dogs, your dog needs to be under control. That's the deal, because the dog's going to be around all sorts of crazy things: wheelchairs, umbrellas, loud people, fast walking people. It doesn't matter. Your dog needs to be under your control. That's what they want to see. If you ever want to get involved in therapy, your dog in therapy work, they just need to see your dog's in control. All right. You're welcome. All right, let's open up the second one. I've got nothing but stouts. As a housewarming present, our realtor got us beer, and she must have heard that I liked stouts because she got me nothing but stouts. So we're drinking stouts tonight. Cheers, whoever else is drinking or having a beer. All right. Anybody? All right. So we have more people joining in. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any topics that you would like to talk about, feel free to type them in. We'll talk about it. I'm only going to answer questions until this beer is gone. Is that fair? I think I'm going to start doing that. 2 beers. You have your chance to ask questions or until I finish 2 beers, and then I'm done. We're having a housewarming party, and all of you that are watching are invited because it's going to be great. All right. Anyway, we might as well get to the subject because it's about that time. All right. The subject is, what is the subject? Hold on. I got to look on my phone. Let's see. You guys got to watch that intro. It's only fair if you start with full beers. I know, I started drinking before that, so whatever. Next time I'll start with a full beer. Come on now. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, subject is the sacrifice in raising a dog. Your sacrifice. So I was just with a client, and she has a daughter, she has a husband, she's the hard one on the dog, okay? Which just means she's the disciplinarian. All right. And we started to talk about the sacrifice that you have to go through in order to keep your dog sort of acting the way that is conducive to you, family, and friends, and strangers, and other dogs. The sacrifice of being a parent more so than being a friend, especially with a young dog. Being a parent more than you are being a friend is key in order to get to that friendship level. And we started talking about how she has a daughter that is a junior in high school. And I told her, I said, well, you don't want your daughter while she's in college be talking to you, calling you, and asking still how to tie her shoes, do you? So we have to sacrifice what we get out of the relationship. What do we get? Happiness. If we, snuggle, pet, the dog it's endearing that the dog is happy to see us, all that jazz. But we have to really figure out how much we can actually give the dog while keeping the dog humble enough to listen to us. Because again, it just doesn't work that if you give your dog whatever it wants and you expect it to listen. It's just not going to happen. It's not worth it for him. It's not worth it for him it's not worth it for him to be given all this freedom, and then they actually say, all right, well, I don't want to do what I don't want to do. Or I'm going to listen as opposed to doing what I want to do. No, the attitude is going to be, I'm going to do what I want because there's just no repercussions for me, or it's not worth it for me not to. All right, so that's what we have to figure out, and it doesn't matter. I always have, it doesn't matter, if you're a male or a female. Sometimes I have to get the males to be more tough. Okay. Sometimes I have to get the females to be more tough. Human males to be more tough, to be the disciplinarian. But why? Why? I have to figure out, I have to let people know why it's important to do it. And that right there is the journey. That is the key to success with your dog. Why is it important to keep your dog off the couch? Why? I don't see a reason why I shouldn't. They act good 90% of the time. You keep them on the couch for you. That's why. Because they can be just as comfortable in a nice bed. But they'd rather be on the couch with you. But people do it because it makes us feel good. We're comfortable. Dog's comfortable. But the sacrifice is taking away those little privileges that make us feel good in order to relate the dog, in order to help the dog see that you have to work for this. You can't just get this. This isn't something you get for just being alive. Affection is probably one of the most important tools that we can use to manipulate our dog. Why? Because affection is the thing that they want probably the most. I would say this. What drives a dog? Sex drives a dog. Food drives a dog. And then after that, it's the pack drive that drives the dog. If we can act like a parent more so than a friend, we'll think like this. You have to do this in order to get this. That's it. You have to do this in order to get what you want. You can't just get what you want, because that is unhealthy. That's an unhealthy relationship. Think about it like a friend. If you allow your friend to do whatever you want, let's say you guys are meeting at Chipotle. I'm kind of hungry, so I'm thinking about Chipotle. But let's say you guys are meeting at Chipotle, and you say, let's meet at 6:30. Best friend doesn't show up till 7 o'clock. And so you're like, all right, well, that's okay. We can meet at 7 o'clock. And then it happens over and over and over again. Well, if you don't say, you know what? How come you're 30 minutes late every time? I don't like that. I want to eat. I'm hungry. You know, you're not putting up a boundary that is strong enough to get your friend to realize how important it is that she actually respects your time. So we do that with dogs a lot. Is it because you think the relationship will be damaged? Because it won't. It'll only strengthen the relationship. The stronger your boundaries are, the stronger your relationship is going to be with your dog. And it works for humans too. I'm no psychologist. I'm no relationship advice person. Believe me, I'm not. But I know what boundaries do. And so the stronger you are for standing up for what you think is right, and that sounds a little weird, political, whatever. But same thing with dogs, man. If you can just say it consistent, then your dog will happily accept what you want from it. Okay? So your dog's going to want to get up on the couch after you say enough is enough. But do you have what it takes to say, no, go lay down? Every single time? I don't know. I don't know if many people do. Because same with sleeping in the bed. It doesn't matter. Sleeping in the bed. All right. Listen, guys. I don't care if your dog... Hold on, man. I haven't taken a sip in a while. I'm going to be here for a minute. Hold on. Holy crap, this is a nice porter here. Or stout, no, this is stout. All right, anyway. Don't get me wrong. For me, I have slept, dogs have slept in bed with me, to be honest with you. I even thought about bringing that back. Listen, I even thought about doing this. This is crazy. I've got a 24 by 40 foot detached garage. I'm thinking about putting a bed in there. Why? Because when I was in my early stages of working with dogs, man, back in 2006, 10 years back, when I used to watch my friends' dogs, when I used to watch other people's dogs, if I allowed them to sleep with me, this is when I was single and all that crap. When I allowed dogs to sleep with me, and this is not to say that it's okay. All right, but I'm gonna try it anyway. When I allowed dogs to sleep with me, the next morning, if they were insecure with me at all, that it would wipe that away quick. I mean, it would just, they would be, I remember working with dogs that would be insecure with me when I brought them home, but if I allowed them to sleep in bed with me, then they would be, like, it would like strengthen the bond. I don't even know how, I don't even know how, but it did. Okay, so, don't get me wrong though. I'm not saying everyone should sleep with their dog. That is something the dog deserves. If you're going to do it, make them work for it too, okay? That doesn't mean, okay, so same day, if your dog decides to go after your cat, your dog decides to go after a dog or whatever, does something bad, that means no bed privileges. Let your dog be good for 2 days before you allow the dog to come back to that, okay? All right? But this is where it becomes challenging. This is where I want to tap into. This is where people get uncomfortable. All right? What does it take in order for people to realize that what they're doing is more for them than the dog? Okay? We shouldn't have a dog to get everything out of the dog-human relationship that we can get and forget about what the dog needs, because that's the problem. We want to get everything that we want and nothing that they want. We want to give all the snuggles, the cuddles, the treats, the this, that, and the other. The dog doesn't need any of that to survive and be happy. The dog needs exercise, structure, leadership. in order to be happy, healthy, and live a stress-free life. But that takes work. That's the hard way. The easy way is to snuggle. That's easy. Anyone can do that. But the hard way is to get up and actually go out and walk your dog. The hard way is actually to go on adventures with your dog. The hard way is to actually stick with something that may make you uncomfortable or your dog uncomfortable long enough for your dog to actually see what you want to see, what you want it to see. And that may mean you have to put the prong collar on and keep it on for a year. Every single time the dog goes on a walk. But after that year, you may not need the prong collar. But the sacrifice is you may have to have it on. The sacrifice is you may have to have the e-collar on. Okay, and the sacrifice is you may have to do something you may not feel comfortable with, you may not like, but the dog will like it if you stick with it. The tough part is sticking with it and really staying committed. So I tell my clients the success is going to be based on your continued involvement with Majors Academy. That means coming to group classes. That means using my private lessons to your, whatever. I give my clients free private lessons. After they buy a board and train package, you can train with me for free for the rest of that damn dog's life. Private lessons. Okay? Something I charge $75 an hour for, you can have for free if you buy our board and train package and you're still struggling with things. It's a continued thing. They're not machines, so they're not going to come here and come out completely good. That's just not the reality. Behavior is shaped by the environment. The dog is going to get away with what they can get away with. I gotta take another drink. I'm gonna be here all night. Anybody who has any questions about what I'm talking about or any comments, feel free to comment. All right. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes and thumbs up and stuff like that. I appreciate it. Dozer's only going to be 4 on Sunday. You may be stuck. Dozer. Dozer's an awesome dog. Hey, here's the other big thing, guys. Here's the other big thing that I do have to make people uncomfortable with, or I think is very important because I care about the dog. Here's the other thing. If you don't feel comfortable with a certain level of correction for your dog, then I question if the dog is right for you. Because there are temperaments that are conducive to different types of human temperaments. All right. I just had a client call me and say, what does it mean to correct your dog? What does it mean to have a come to Jesus meeting with your dog? Well, however you see fit, what's fair to the dog. But listen, if the dog feels okay enough to bite a child despite you being there, that's a problem. That's a real big problem. Okay? Dogs address certain problems with each other by physically causing harm to one another. Physically causing harm. And I'm not telling you to do that. But I'm telling you that you may have to correct your dog so that it realizes that there are other choices other than fighting, biting, or getting aggressive in any way. You can show your dog that, and it will not damage the relationship. It will strengthen it. I promise you that. My dogs know that it's not okay it's not okay to fight. They know that it's not okay to act on their whatever it is. If a dog is even humping them, they'd rather walk away. But I've taught them to walk away. as opposed to indulging in what they want on a reactive level. So you can get your dog to develop an inhibition to do something real bad, like bite a child, like fight another dog, like bite a human. Okay, but you have to be present and you have to be proactive in order to get that. But that's tough for people. So I question if you should have that German Shepherd, if you should have that Rottweiler, if you should have that Belgian Malinois, if you should have that Dutch Shepherd, if you should have that Boxer. Working breeds. Working breeds are bred to work. They're maybe bred to protect, and they're bred to be okay with certain levels of correction. If you wanted a dog that you don't even have to correct, then you should get a Shih Tzu. Or I don't know, some other dog. You shouldn't get a working dog though. Doberman. Shouldn't get a Doberman. But you have to be able to be comfortable doing certain things, okay, in order to live with your dog peacefully. All right, got some questions. Let's address them. All right. Is it normal to be closer to the one who gives them the world? Is it normal for a dog to be closer to the one who gives them the world and distant from the more disciplined one? Oh, that's a great question. It may seem that way. It may seem that the dog is more closer to the one who allows the dog to do whatever it wants. All right. So that's a great question. Psychologically, that's a great question. That's what a lot of people deal with. A lot of people deal with that, even with their children. It's very important to know the difference between what really is important for the dog going forward. Is it the security feeling, or is it the I get to do what I want feeling? And what relationship is stronger? With who is the relationship stronger? That's very important. That's a really good question. And in my opinion, the person who provides security for a young, impressionable dog versus the person who allows the dog to do whatever it wants. The person that provides that security / discipline, it may not look like the dog likes this person. The dog may like this person better. Why? Because it's convenient to like this person better. I don't have to work. I can sit on my ass. I don't have to do anything. And I get petted, and I get treats, and I get loved on, and I get everything. It's easier to do this way, right? It's easier. But the relationship is an insecure relationship. You are not going to be able to challenge that dog because that dog doesn't trust. There's no reason to trust. The dog trusts the person who's disciplined the dog. Now listen. The dog's not going to just like the person that just disciplines and that's it. The disciplinarian also has to have some sort of compassion too. You have to balance out the both. You have to be firm and compassionate at the same dang time. That's the relationship you want to have. It's going to strengthen it. If you just allow the dog to walk all over you, they're going to take advantage of you and you're going to start resenting, just like any relationship. You allow that person to walk all over you. What kind of relationship is that? Both should have respectable boundaries. So that's a great question. Great question. Most people lean on the side of, I want this dog to like me. I'm going to let it do what it wants. But then the dog can bark, bite, and become aggressive because I get to do what I want. What's in it for me not to do it? So that's my opinion. Okay. Help a young dog humping. He's male, 6 months. Excuse me. When the dog decides to hump, have a long line on the dog. give a leash correction and tell the dog no. Tell the dog no some way. So what I would do is either have a pet convincer or a long line or even a dressage whip. And when the dog decides to hump, you tell him no and you correct the dog. That's about it. A stuffed dog? What about a stuffed dog? Our 9-year-old dog is closer to me, and I am much harder and stricter on him than my husband. And my husband is a huge pushover. I know who you're talking about, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But listen, I think that the dog will gravitates more towards security than instability. Someone who allows the dog to do whatever it wants is an unstable environment. They have to self-regulate. They have to make themselves feel better because of the person not taking control. Dealing with children here. Dogs are children minds, or 7-year-olds at best at their height of intelligence. I think it's 7, maybe 9, but you say that's the kind of dog you fit with? Well, okay. Well, at least you admit that. That's pretty funny. All right. So yeah. Anybody who just joined, let me just reintroduce myself. I'm Jeremy Majors with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we are a behavior modification program who takes dogs into our home. We don't have a training facility. They are in our home. And we mostly deal with fearful and aggressive dogs. Every now and then we get a puppy and a little dog, but the majority of our dogs are going to be a little bit fearful. So anybody who just joined in, you have any questions and or topics that you would like to discuss, go ahead. Feel free to comment below. I'll be here until I finish this beer. Once I'm finished this beer, I'm done because I got to go to my wife's just got a new job, or recently got a new job, and their grand opening is tonight. So I got to shower up, and she wants me to go because she just wants me to go. So I got to shower up and look nice for that. But anybody watching, feel free to comment, chime, tell me what your thoughts are about what I just said. Let's discuss, let's learn. Give me your opinions. What's up, man? All right. Oh, we got another question or comment. Thoughts on bark collar, or can it be corrected with e-collar? Our German Shepherd doesn't bark often, but when she barks, she goes on and on. We get her to stop, and she will go back to what she was barking at. Okay. So what I would recommend is I would start off with e-collar. If you're not home, bark collar. But if you're home, try that e-collar, and make sure your dog knows what the place command is. Okay. So not only are you telling your dog to shut up, but you're also telling your dog to do something else. All right. Go tell your dog to go lay down. That'll stop the barking because it can't even see what it's barking at. So if your dog knows how to go lay down after you say go lay down, that will probably help with the problem. So when I say go lay down or go to your bed, my dogs must do that, or else I'm going to make them do it. And they do it because I've made them do it. All right, despite whatever it was, UPS man, someone knocking on the door, guests coming over, I've made them do it. All right, so even if you have to put the leash back on or something like that, go back to basics. But your dog just must know that when you say something, you mean what you say, and the dog will respond accordingly. All right? Thank you for your question. You've got some good questions over there. Working on Dozer sleeping on his bed out of the kennel. He waits until we fall asleep and gets up to be sassy. He did good for a few nights. We went back to kenneling him. Thoughts? What I would do is put the e-collar on him. When he starts to get sassy, tell him, go lay down, and press the button. All right? That's all I would do. Because my dogs, we've moved into a place now, we've got hardwood, and we're sleeping upstairs, the dogs are downstairs. I can hear their nails going across the wood floor, and I wake up and I say, "Go lay down," and then I hear them go. Then I hear them go right back to their bed. So they're doing that late night creep smell, and they want to, do whatever, go in the kitchen and smell some crumbs and stuff like that. But so I would recommend, just tell them to go back, lay down, and if you can't do that just verbally, then use your e-collar to do so. All right, and work at it. Work at the level that works. All right. Thank you for watching. Oh, I gotta take a sip here. What's up, Jillian? All right, guys, those have just joined. I'm only going to answer questions until I'm done with this beer, and I'm halfway there. So if you got any comments or any opinions about what I'm talking about, feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions if you got them. We're going to just be here for a little bit longer. I don't know what time it is. 6:40, so we got 20 minutes. Anyway, back to the subject. It's a good one, man. Every single one of my clients, and even me, we all struggle with this. Everyone struggles with it. How much do I give in order to keep the dog behaving well without thinking that the dog can actually take? Right? Without thinking the dog can actually take advantage of us. How much can we give them? What are our expectations? Do we want our dog to be able to stay in a down despite people coming through the door, knocking on the door? If so, then that means our relationship has to be that much more tough or consistent. We have to be that much more of a parent versus a friend. In my opinion, I feel like because I'm asking people to be that tough with their dog, I have to be that tough with my dogs. I love my dogs. But can we show our love in a different way? Which just means having them not jump on people at the door. Having the type of relationship where they listen to you enough to not jump on people at the door, to not bark at people, to come when called every single time, to respond every time you call their name, to not fight dogs, to not do all the things that we would make up as a good dog. Do we have what it takes to stay away from what we want out of the relationship so that we can keep them at that level? Because if we give too much, dogs are opportunists, then they're going to say, let's see if I can get away with this time. I just got this, and this. Let's see if I can get away with it this time. All right. Got another comment. Oh, Stan's parents. Stan is doing great. Little dogs are a little bit more difficult than big dogs because obviously their size. They're allowed to get away with different things, but Stan is very smart. And so the key with getting Stan, and listen, I train little dogs just like I train big dogs. I don't go any different. All right. You're dealing with a brain. You're not dealing with their size. You're dealing with a brain, and we adjust to their size. All right. So if a little dog can get away with hell, then that's what it's going to do. That's why little dogs get in trouble. But if they were bigger and potentially could cause harm, okay. So that's why we only mostly train bigger dogs, because if they can do much more damage. But Stan is doing well. He's coming along great. So, all right, got another question. Our dog listens great to commands and or staying in place with e-collar on. But as soon as it comes off, she's back to her sassy self. Just keep trying to be consistent. I would say add another layer. You've got the e-collar on. I would say add another layer as in your leash. Okay, leash and prong in the house. All right, and maybe take the e-collar off, but then use the leash. And when the dog decides to come off the place, instead of grabbing the leash after 3 or 4 times of doing so, just use your body language and use your arm to point where the bed is. Go to your bed and point to it. All right, and if she doesn't listen the first time, grab a leash and point to it. That's how you're going to wean off of all tools. You can even grab her by the collar too. Grab her by the collar if she doesn't listen. Grab her by the collar if she doesn't listen that first time, and make her go to her bed. That's how you can wean off of the e-collar. Okay, so use your tools, use your layers, and really get through to her that you want her to go to the bed no matter what. Okay, so it may mean you may have to go all the way back to basics, putting the leash prong on in the house and e-collar, and giving a strong enough correction to make the dog realize that when you say go to your bed, that's exactly what you mean. Okay. Thank you for your question. Did you see? I put up your sign that you made for me, the Majors Academy sign, in my garage. It looks awesome there. Thank you for that. All right. How rough do you let your dogs play? Ours never hurt each other, and they enjoy it. But man, they sound rough and loud when they play sometimes. They will stop when I say stop. I let my dogs play as rough as they want, as long as they don't hurt each other. And they sound like they're killing each other. Doesn't matter. It's like getting to know, that special someone. And after time, you can argue with them pretty comfortably because you know them. You can fight with them pretty comfortably because you know them. So it's the same thing with dogs. They're close. They've been together. They know that this means this and that means that and this means that. So they're fine. They're comfortable with it, right? So for example, Boomer, your dog, is not comfortable with other dogs like that because it doesn't know them. Boomer would be cautious with another dog that would play as rough as what's her dang name? Boomer and oh God, I love that dog too. Anyway, your other dog, it's just like getting to know another person, period. When you would be getting to know someone else, you would be, you wouldn't be as comfortable bringing up something that involves conflict. So same thing with dogs. Anyway, guys, all right. One more time. Jeremy Majors Academy Dog Training, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I got to do this because people are watching that haven't watched before. And if you want to watch again, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I think connection. Okay. Well, anyway, we're back. If you just joined in, feel free to ask a question, comment. We are talking about some heavy stuff tonight. We're talking about the stuff that really gets people. And I tell people all the time, it's much more of a process for us than it is the dog. If we had a switch in our mind that allowed the dog to accommodate to us, and we had boundaries as strong as a brick wall, then the dog would clearly adapt and go around the boundary. They would not go through it. They would not cross that boundary. So that's the difficult part, is getting the human. It's much more of a process for the human to make it a lifestyle, not to have your dog go through the door first, not to have your dog burst through the crate, not to have your dog say F you, and then you actually accept that. For example, if I'm in the yard and my dog's sniffing around in the yard, way, 30, 40 yards away, and I say, Matt, come. And he doesn't come. Oh, I gotta go get him. I have to go get him. He has to know that if you don't listen, I'm coming for you. And I'm going to come get you. And because of that reason, they may opt to listen the first time that you say it. But how many times are you going to let that dog say, F you, I'm not doing it? Because that's the big difference. In all areas, if your dog is still struggling with any aggression issue, any nervousness issue, and you're allowing that dog to say, F you, I'm not coming, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. Your dog doesn't think you're going to come get him. But I'm going to come get my dogs. If my dog says, F you, really? No, you better come. Because it's going to save your life one day too. I gotta have you come. In order to enjoy the freedoms that you like. Because I enjoy taking my dogs to different places, allowing them to run free, blah, 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 out in fields, out in this, that, and the other. But I just ask one thing. That you come when I tell you to come. That's it. And in doing that, they're allowed to have all this freedom. Right? That's the key, man. That's what I want for everyone. I want them to be so tight on their consistency that they can then allow their dogs to do so much that they enjoy. But all of it comes with rules. I want you to be happy being you. I don't want you to be you. I want you to be happy. I want you to run and do whatever you want to do. But just when I tell you to come, you gotta come. Not only for the safety of you, but for the safety of others. That's what I want for people. All right? Sounds preachy, doesn't it? Echo, that's right. Dang, how come I forget that? Drinking. All right. Large dog that throws severe antics on treadmill. Physically throwing himself off the back of treadmill. Biting leash, hissy fit. How do you handle this when you can't keep them physically on until the initial panic passes? Great question. You're going to have help. You're going to have help to keep that dog on physically. Or you're just going to have to stick with it. If the dog throws himself off, got to bring that dog right back. Over and over and over again. Listen. Dog is going to do what works. If it works, they're going to try it again. Until it doesn't work. 3 or 4 times. Okay, so that may mean you just have to bring a dog back. The dog has to realize, all right, I'm tired of doing this and this doesn't work for me. So I'm going to try something else. And that something else is acceptance. That something else is, all right, fine. She's just going to bring me right back, man. You may have to have the prong collar on in the treadmill, to be honest. Okay? Make sure your walk is okay. Make sure, you have a good walk with your dog before you do that. But dogs are going to try what works. I just reintroduced the dog to a prong collar. The owner had said, well, we used the prong collar, but the prong collar totally freaks her out. She just gets freaked out, blah, 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 blah. I said, all right, let me try it. So we put the prong collar on, and the dog, did its freak out thing, and I told the owner, I said, hey, this is what worked for her in the past, but right now, today, it's not going to work. And we just got to show her that. Let me show you something else. Let me show you how gentle I can be with this prong collar, and let me show you how enjoyable it is to actually be vulnerable. The dog has to become vulnerable. The dog can't say, I need to find out what I'm insecure about. I need to figure out. When I'm insecure, I need to do what I need to do. I don't care who's around. I don't care who has the leash. I'm doing what I need to do. That's what the dog does on the treadmill. The dog gets freaked out, says, hell no. I don't care about you. I'm going to go try and make myself feel better. But that's something that is super important when it comes to relationship building. When your dog panics, can it actually take direction from you? Because it should. When your dog panics, can you actually get your dog to calm down? That speaks on the relationship you have with your dog. And the more things that you make non-negotiable, the closer you are to that. And I think it's super important. For even when you're at a vet's office and the dog starts to panic about the vet, if you've been there in those panic moments and been able to advocate for your dog, and the dog actually accepts your being there for the dog, then it makes it a much easier time for everyone involved. The dog had previous failed treadmill attempts with owner. Of course it has. Otherwise it wouldn't be trying to do what it's normally used to doing. But what you have to do is maybe add a person, or even tie the dog up to the treadmill. But the dog needs to realize that there's no other option. Alright, that may seem bad. I've had criticism for that. Why do you have a dog on a treadmill? It doesn't like a treadmill. Blah, 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 blah. Really? There are dogs that really enjoy the treadmill, but have stuck with it long enough to actually see it. That's just like dogs with swimming and water. Every dog that actually can think can enjoy water. I guarantee you that. If they had a bad experience, it'll just take longer. But say on a 90-degree day, and the daggum dog is hot as hell, and you can constructively introduce water to that dog's fur, the dog's going to start to like water. But you got to know how to do that. You got to know how to actually make the dog realize, wow, this feels great. Wow, I feel cooler. I don't feel as hot. There are dogs that are scared of water. There are people that are scared of water. That's because they don't know it. They don't know water. Let's just talk about it like this. Anybody who knows how to swim, are they scared of water? Anybody who's been in water and has been able to be calm in water, are they scared of water? No. So that's the whole thing. Treadmill, car rides, vet's office, anything that your dog can be fearful of. They just haven't stuck with it long enough to know that on average, most people are good. Most vets are not going to hurt you. They may stick things in uncomfortable places, but still, it's not going to hurt you. We just got to get that message across with the dogs. All right. Any final questions? Any kind of final topics that you would like me to talk about? Because I'm almost done with my beer. And the rule is, after 2 beers, I'm done. But I appreciate you guys listening and staying and comments and all that good stuff. Thank you, Katie. I appreciate it. It's been a wonderful conversation with you. I appreciate the conversation. And you too, Ashley. Thank you for your great questions. Eardrops. How do you get them to enjoy that? Same thing as how do you get them to enjoy? Not enjoy. Listen, eardrops, I don't know if any dog really says, I want eardrops. I think that they accept it if you make them accept it. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate them, y'all. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so eardrops, it's just with anything, though. Listen, I want my dog to stay. If stay means stay, then the dog will actually do it, no matter what, right? So that's the thing. We have to make stay means stay. Down means down. Sit means sit. That's what that. If we can get our dogs to believe all of that, then the possibilities are endless. Because our dogs trust us to say, stay, lay down. Let me show you that this situation is not a bad situation. You're not going to get hurt. It's not going to result in some fearful, traumatic situation. So when I say go lay down, it's going to be all good. And it should be a comforting feeling to the dog. Anyway. All right. Ooh, I gotta go. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. Give it one last thumbs up if you're watching. Share it if you think it was great. Comment it off if you think it was stupid. But we'll be back here next Thursday, same time, same place. You guys have been awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.